All right, we're live, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk Lake County. I'm your host, David Rich. I have a very special guest on tonight, Rob Hogan, who is here, and this gentleman is going to do for your own understanding, a tarot reading. It's actually an oracle deck, and maybe we'll talk about the difference between those two things later. But I've been interested in this stuff for a long time, and thought it'd be a fun idea to have somebody come on and give me a reading on air here. So here we are. Okay, Rob. So he has his camera pointed at where the cards will be. But as you can see, he's a real person. You just saw his hands. So, okay, Rob, you want to talk a little bit about this whole situation?
Sure. So I began reading tarot cards in college, and I just felt drawn to the practice. I got myself a tarot deck. I anointed it with oil, and then I started doing readings for my college friends. And I don't think I was mature enough when I was 21, 22 to really handle what would come my way. But because I did a reading for a friend of mine, and the reading came out that I pulled a card which talked about fertility, and then I pulled a card that talked about uh, false hopes. And the way I interpreted it was that she was pregnant and she was going to have a miscarriage.
Oof.
And she told me afterwards that she, thought that she was, and she did, in fact, did have.
That's intense.
And I kind of put my cards away after that, and not to scare the readers, or the watchers rather. But I put my cards away for about 25 years, and I recently started again last year. I have some friends that own a paranormal ghost hunting site in Indiana, and I spent some time going out there. And somebody had an oracle deck, and they let me use it. And my readings came out with that deck, came out pretty strong for people. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do this reading again. I got a deck which I wasn't quite feeling, a tarot deck. It was a kitty cat tarot deck. I recently have gifted that to somebody who is beginning their practice. But I saw a Facebook ad for this oracle deck that you see here, which is a little bit different than a tarot deck. It's follows some similarities, but this one for me is my main deck that I use, and it's gotten me some really good readings. Now, one of the other things that has inspired me to kind of do these readings, especially spiritual readings, is about 4.5 years ago. I had a ruptured brain aneurysm and came close to death. And I think that during my time in the hospital, I had some hallucinations that were off the wall. And it really makes me question whether or not I was actually seeing things or if they were hallucinations. But I think that coming close to the veil had left me sensitive with readings. So I feel funny saying this, but I call myself an intuitive. I call myself a psychic, and I call myself medium light because I'm not quite a medium.
Medium light.
Yeah, I'm not quite a medium. However,
Like a channeler, you mean?
Yes,
Okay.
because sometimes spirits do communicate with me. Would you like me to talk about that reading that?
Yeah, real quick, I just want to say hello to
Yeah.
Mary Lee. Hello, Mary Lee. Mary Lee is responsible for this
Yeah.
gathering right now. Thank you for the heads up. Alexandria, hello, and Edie, hello as well. All right, go ahead. Yeah, you said you had an intense reading on Sunday.
Yes.
Ready, guys?
So I was doing a reading at an event in Kenosha, and I had somebody sit down, and I do a 4-card spread where I pull 4 cards and I put them in 4 locations as so. And 2 of the cards that came up, one of them indicated the presence of a spirit. That spirit may have been present with us. Another one came up saying that there was somehow involved a lost pet. And so I'm like, have you lost a pet recently, or is there the pet pass away? And she's like, no, no, no. And so we're continuing the cards. We're pulling the spread out to get a little bit more. And it came out that the spirit may have been the spirit of her father kind of channeling through a little bit. I pulled a card that indicated weakness, and what I felt was a voice saying, boo boo, boo boo, or but the person I thought felt like a childhood nickname that a parent would have for a kid. But her name started with an L, And so I'm like, maybe it was Lulu. So I'm like, did he have a childhood nickname for you that was like Lulu? And she's like, no, that doesn't resonate. And I'm like, okay, well, I we were talking about for a couple minutes, and I go back and I say, well, I was originally getting this voice calling him Boo Boo, Boo Boo. And she says, well, my dad passed a number of years ago, and he had an outdoor cat that would visit him that we called Boo Boo.
Wow, I just got super chills, dude.
I'm telling you. And what had happened was they had sold his house in New York, but the cat kept coming up to the back window, the back door to be fed. So they had to drive back to New York, get the cat, and they tried to relocate it back at their house, but the cat went missing. And then that goes back to the first card that I pulled, which was the missing pet card. And so things like this have happened probably a couple dozen times. I've had instances. This is where I say I'm medium light. It doesn't come through all the time, but there are times where I just hear like something in my head and I'm trying to discern. That's why I'm growing my own practice of trying to understand what it might just be my creativity popping in some words into my head,
Right.
and what might actually be some kind of communication coming through. But that thing with the Boo Boo was just like,
Yeah, that's intense.
yeah, so that happened on Sunday. And give an example of how readings can go. Now on the other spectrum is they're not all the readings I do. They're not all about spirits. And on a basic level, a lot of these readings make people think about their current circumstances in different ways.
Right.
And so a lot of these sessions turn into mini counseling type sessions
True.
where we look at circumstances or challenges that people might be facing, and letting the cards make them think about it from a different angle or a different perspective.
Right.
And so at bare minimum, a lot of readings come out like that.
Sure.
Like I had a reading where, um, you know, um, people talking about challenges in their personal lives. I've had people talk about being in abusive relationships. And I, not being a counselor myself, have to direct them to the appropriate resources when that comes up.
Sure.
But that's the kind of thing that can come out through readings.
Yeah, no, and that has massive advantage and value for sure. I mean, I think that a lot of time, like I've been doing this stuff on and off for 30 plus years. And most of the readings I've done for my friends and whomever have been more about that. They were just giving you insight to perspective into your current situation, which is massively valuable because you know how to wield it better, get through your situation. But okay, I think they're here for the goods.
Yes.
So
Okay.
okay, so we're gonna do a general reading on my. I put my intention into the deck, and so here we go.
Yeah. So the deck has been pre-shuffled, and so we're going to go ahead and pull some cards from this oracle deck for David to help bring clarity to this current circumstance. So we have here, first card is the Undeath card, and let me show it to the viewers here.
The undeath.
Yes. And in the upright position, so these cards mean different things if they're upside down or if they're right side up.
Yeah.
And the upside position here, and that's towards me as being the
Thank God
rebirth.
it's got up right to
What this card means is a rebirth. It's not necessarily a new beginning, but it means that something that was in your life before has now kind of come back into the life or might be changing in a different way. This could be a friend that was in your life that kind of you lost contact with that may have come back. It could be a job opportunity that you had that you didn't take that you're now taking now. But it could be something like that. This is also one of the cards in my deck that indicates that there could be a presence of the spirit. Before we got started, we invited if any spirits wanted to talk. So this could be also a spirit kind of putting an indication that they might want to communicate as well. And so that's how I interpret the card. So with this card, with what I said about the rebirth, does any of that resonate with you?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so there's something about your current circumstance where you are feeling that you're having a rebirth of some kind.
Yes.
Okay. And so generally when I do this reading, I like to go in cold with my reading. So I don't like people to tell me what's going on in their lives. I don't like to know Like actually before we got started, David told me something very personal, and I'm like, don't tell me that.
Yeah.
Because I prefer not to know those things going into the reading. I like the readings to be cold, as far as information I have. So that's the first card that I put down in the top position. And now I pull three more cards here to see what else we have here. This card is the elementals card in the reverse position. I'll show it to the viewers here. And what this card means in the reverse position is closure. If it was upright, it would mean completion. Completion and closure are two different things, even though they sound similar.
Yeah.
Completion, you go and you go to college, you do your studies, you complete your course of studies, you get your degree, you have agency over that. Closure, you're dating somebody, they break your heart, you get closure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you see the difference
Yes.
between the two. So also, one of the other ways that you can use cards to interpret is through the coloring and through the artwork.
Mm-hmm.
And so right here, we're having a lot of coldness coming through here. So there's something I'm feeling going on in your life that is very cold and calculating right now. That there's some hard decisions that you have to make, that have to be very cold and logical, and you really have to remove your heart and your emotions from it. And I think that it's something that you don't have agency over. So there's something that you are having to deal with getting closure about.
Yes.
Does that resonate?
100%.
Okay. So the next card we're pulling here is the Giants card. Okay, that card in the upright position means endurance. So tied to these other cards here in your circumstance, there's something that you're doing right now that is requiring marathon type endurance to get through. So this is a long haul challenge that you have going on, that you really have to exhibit a lot of endurance to get through. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm also getting a feeling that it's isolating for you. That with this cold calculating, that you have to make these decisions, that you're really pulling internally and you're internalizing a lot of it in an isolating way.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
100%.
Okay. Right there, what I just said is one of those things where I get like a little gut feeling like I should say something.
Okay, go ahead.
And so that's something I don't normally say for that card, but I felt the isolation right now was something that came through as I feel like I should say that.
Yes.
Okay. The last card that we're going to pull here for the initial spread is the ally card. And this ally card means that you're not alone, that there's somebody in your court that is assisting you through this process. Has somebody recently come back into your life? Like a friend?
Not like within the last couple of months, but yes.
Okay. Okay. That could be this person right here. So this ally card could be showing that that could be that person. Now, what I would typically do with this is we can expand more. I do all of my readings in a diamond shape or a circular shape. I like the visual of it being a closed circle when we're done. That gives a completion for the reading. And at this point, we can expand that diamond off in one of the directions based on one of the cards that may resonate with you. So out of going back to the rebirth of the spirit card, we have that one here. If you also want to talk to spirits, I would say we could focus on that one to try to communicate. We have the closure card here. We have the endurance card, and then we have the ally card. And so at this point, we would put one of these cards, whichever one you felt closest to or resonating or what you wanted to know most
What was the
about.
one on the bottom again?
The ally card, that somebody is assisting you, somebody has come into your life.
That one.
Okay. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to move these cards up a little bit to keep them into the frame. And so we're going to discern a little bit more about this ally card that came up here. So continuing from the deck that we have here, I typically don't reshuffle my decks until the nature of the reading changes. So sometimes if we are talking to the spirit, and if somebody wants to try to ask the spirit questions, if I become more of a channeler, then I'll reshuffle it and I'll put my energy into the card instead of David's, or instead of the person I'm reading for. But right now we're going off of all of David's energy that he put into the cards, so that's why I keep the cards the way that they are. Okay, Celestials reversed. Let me show everybody. Okay, this card in the reverse position means superego. And what that means is that just like a job interview, when you go on it, you try to be your best self and you're showing the best qualities that you have to give. However, if we have to do that consistently day in and day out, it almost feels like we're wearing a mask, that we're almost like being a person that we're not really, because we're not, our authentic self isn't showing through, that we can't just be ourselves. So this card is kitty corner to the ally card. So this could be one of two things: that either the person that this ally card revolves around is they are wearing a mask, or you might be putting a mask on for them.
It's both.
Okay.
I discovered their mask,
Okay.
and I don't think that they realize that I discovered it.
Okay. So there is some aspect here of people not being their authentic selves in the relationship that you're talking about with this ally card. Now, once again, I don't know if the viewers can see, but this card here, this card here, this card here, this card here, they're all really cool blue cards. And so do you feel that you are having to detach your logic from your emotions very much currently?
For this situation, yes.
Okay.
It's a matter of reasoning through it instead of feeling my way through it.
Yeah. So there's a lot of, I would say that coldness is coming through from having to take more of a reasoning, logical approach to it and detaching your emotions from it. But the only warm card that we have here is this endurance isolating card. So it's like, I sense a big disconnect between what you want to do and what you have to do.
Yes.
So down here at the bottom, we're going to continue building out with the celestials in the upright position. Okay, so this is interesting because we just pulled the celestials in the reverse position earlier. So in the upright position, instead of being a mask that you wear, this is about letting your inner radiance shine. Okay, the way that I kind of describe this card is when you are at your happiest and people see your authentic self and there's a connection. And so in this, I'll see what the next card that we pull is to interpret this card a little bit more, but it could be something where, are you trying to improve the relationship with this ally?
I'm with the ally, yes.
Okay, so it might be a circumstance that you might have to let yourself smile and laugh a little bit more in the relationship. That you might have to let your inner radiance shine through a little bit more, be a little bit more lighthearted, be a little bit more, laugh a little louder, but let your authentic self come through. So there's like this dichotomy that you have about figuring out how much you hide and how much you let go through with these two cards that we have. And then I'm going to finish off this bottom diamond with another card, and that's the familiar card reversed. This card, at that story I told you about earlier with the lost pet, can be interpreted as a lost pet card. It can be interpreted as the presence of an animal spirit as a guide, if people have an animal spirit as a guide. This is also a loss of assistance card. In the reverse position. So I put that at the bottom of the spread that we have here. And once again, check out the colors of that. So we are following the whole color scheme here. That color scheme is really coming through about being cold and calculating here. All these cards have, there's multiple of these cards in the deck. Some of them are warm, some of them are cool. I think it's really interesting that all these cool cards got shuffled to the very top, that's showing this calculating that you have to do. But down here at the bottom, we have the familiar reverse. Have you lost a pet recently?
No.
Okay, so it's not that. Do you believe that you might have an animal spirit with you?
I know that.
Okay, so this could be the presence of an animal spirit.
And going with the cold and calculated and logical stuff, it's an owl.
Okay,
It's just
okay.
like the animal for like intellectual stuff.
And look at the top one. There is an owl.
There you go.
So there we interpret the. So this could be. Now, did this person that is the ally know the owl?
No.
Okay. So I would interpret this in one of two ways, that this could be something we could investigate if you wanted to see if the animal spirit was with you, guiding you. In the relation here with this, I would say get strength from your animal spirit guide that you have to help carry you through this. So was this owl a pet that you used to have?
No, just a familiar,
It's just
a
familiar.
spiritual.
Okay, spiritual familiar. Okay. So I would say that in your own practice, to help carry you through this, call upon your spiritual familiar to get some energy and insight into how to deal with this situation.
That's interesting because I'm realizing I haven't done that yet.
Yeah.
I should. So okay.
Going back to the top here, where we have the undead the spirit card, that could also be the presence of his spirit animal kind of coming through here to say, hey, what about me? I have some things to say. So that could be the presence of that guy trying to come through, especially if you haven't communicated with them.
Okay.
So
Very cool.
to finish the circle, we have two more cards here to fill in. How do I decide which way to go? It really is by feeling. So on this side, I'm feeling like going to the left. We pull the last one. Oh, and we have the sorcerer reversed, which is destruction. So, as we could see in this artwork, all that cool light blue energy is being held in the hand there. So I think that whoever it is that you are referring to as the ally here really has a lot of control over you, and can really hurt you if they so choose. Does that resonate?
Yes.
Okay. So they're holding pretty much you in their hands with all that cold energy there. So there is some sense of destruction here. Are you afraid of the nature of the relationship ending?
I'm more afraid of it continuing.
Okay. So what I would say is that if that relationship continues, then there is destruction in the future.
Yeah.
I don't like giving bad news, but sometimes I just read the cards, man. I just read the cards. But that's some destruction there. And then with the final one here that we're going to pull out is imbalance, which is interesting because the two cards that this is touching is the endurance card here, and then the inner radiance card. So I think that what that means is that this ally is causing imbalance for you on being able to have that inner strength and that inner radiance come through.
Okay, that makes sense.
Now this would be a sample of a general reading that I did. As you can see, we have a full complete circle here. I don't put time limits to my readings, so they usually take as long as they need to take. And so if David, what's our time like?
No, we're good. 6:22.
Yeah. So if we wanted to expand a little bit on more of one of these situations, we could pull onto one of these other cards and kind of expand.
Well, okay, yeah, I mean, we don't have to go like literally till 7.
Yeah.
But can we expand just a little bit on this and this?
On the destruction?
Yeah, let's get into that.
Would you like to take a picture of this? I always offer for individuals if
Yeah.
they want to take a picture of the reading. And then I give them my contact info. So sometimes after the fact, they're like, what does this card mean again? Now, going back with this light coloring, you can see that this monk over here, I'll show the cards to the viewers again, is holding all this light coloring in the hand. So it's interesting that on one hand, we have this potential destruction holding all that cool color. And on this other one, we have the imbalance holding all that into the same thing. So it's really, this person has a lot of control over you.
Yep.
Okay. So I'm going to pull up the other cards here, and we're going to leave these two cards out to expand on. Right now, I'm going to put the imbalance on the side. Kind of sit there. And I'm going to pull the sorcerer card into the center. Now, what I'm going to ask is I'm going to have David reshuffle the cards quickly with some intention about what this destruction may mean for them. And I'm leaving out the first cards that we pulled out. Sometimes I put them back in. It's really by feel, but this time I'm leaving them out. Now I have a couple stones here that I bring energy from. I'm, as I said, my belief in spirituality has completely changed, and I believe that you can pull energy from what nature has given us. Um, okay, so reshuffled on the nature of this destruction that we have here. Closure. Okay, once again, and this is one of the first really warm cards that we have here. We have the celestial or the elemental of fire specifically coming here. So there is do you have anger over the situation?
Yes.
Okay. So part of it is that I think that that anger may spill over at some point, even though you're trying to keep your emotions at bay and be logical with this. It might be healthy for some of that righteous indignation and anger to come through for
Okay.
you.
Yeah, no, I get you.
Next card we have is the fighter card, which is a male energy spirit. So is this individual a male energy?
Yes.
Okay, so that would indicate the presence of a male energy spirit. Um, Also, in the upright position, it's a commanding card. So it kind of means take charge of the situation. So this might be a situation that the path that you've been going, being really cool and collected, you might have to take control and allow your emotions to come through a little bit,
Okay.
which may cause some destruction. But I think that
Well, that might be a good thing.
yeah. Then we have two more cards here that I'm going to pull. We have the adversaries card, which is akin to the death card in Major Arcana for tarot, which means new beginning. So this destruction may lead to a new beginning that you have ahead of you. This could also be another indicator of presence of a spirit. That's I consider a spirit card. Um, and then here we have transformation with the monstrosities. So things are going to come to a head in this situation. It's going to cause destruction. But the good news is that you have a new beginning and you have personal transformation coming from it.
Okay, good.
So there could be destruction that relationship could come to an end. But it might not be.
Sure.
Oh, something went wrong.
They can still hear you through my mic.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
They just can't see what you're
Yeah.
doing currently. That's all.
Okay. My phone took a poop.
Took a dive.
Yeah. We'll see if we can get that back online. Otherwise, I'll just have to be very descriptive with my words.
Right.
So,
Talk about the last one again.
the last one was the monstrosities card, which is transformation. So that means a personal transformation. So what I see here with the spread that we currently have is that things may come to a head. It might be emotionally charged. Um, and from it, you may have a new beginning, which leads to personal transformation.
Go ahead and enter the studio.
Yeah. Oh, let me put me in.
Yeah, you're back.
Okay.
You're good.
Okay. No more feedback. So with that, we have expanded on one of these cards. I can pull.
No,
That's
solid.
Yeah. I figure I don't feel like we have to pull more on this destruction. I think we got what we wanted from it.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm gonna pull these cards up. Do you want to take a picture of it?
Oh yeah.
Okay, I'll pull these cards up in a way. And then I'm going to still leave the same cards shuffled here because it's about the same circumstance, I think. We have the imbalance card in the center. So we'll see what these cards say about this. Clarity. To resolve this imbalance, you have a sense of what the direction you need to go is. I think you really know what needs to happen.
Yeah, I know I do.
Doubly so. So
look at that.
I pulled one clarity, and then we pulled a second clarity. Same card. So that means that you really know the direction that you have to go.
Right. It has been clear for a while. Again, it's just a matter of
This card, the next card I pulled is the clear card reverse. This is a card that can deal with religion. This in the reverse position is nonconformity. So it can mean one of two things. If we're talking about religion here, it means that you take a nonconformist approach to religion.
very.
This could also mean a that the path forward is a non-traditional path forward.
That's for sure.
So the way to resolve this to get balance is taking the path less traveled.
Yeah, that's my life.
And then over here we have another closure card, and I think you're going to get the closure that you seek, but it's not the agency that you want.
Interesting. It's not the agency I want. All right. I'm gonna have to rewatch this later.
So this would be like a typical reading. On a scale from 1 to 10, 1 being not at all, 10 being spot on. How did this resonate with you?
9.
9. Okay. Most of my readings tend to be in the 9 to 10 range from people when I ask that question. Now, did it bring clarity?
Yes.
Okay, that's the most important thing for my readings that I ask is I want to make sure that the readings that I give have brought clarity to the individual, that they walk away from it, with a sense of purpose or with a sense of what direction they have to go. Now, if we wanted to, like if I had pulled the cards onto the side, where this would go from here is we would just close off the reading here. I would thank any spirits that may have joined us for lending their hand, or animal spirits like the owl. Thank you for being present, and we appreciate your insight. And you may now go now and rest in peace.
All right.
And so I would close off the connection if there were any spirits with us. Now, if this was an extended reading, I would probably say, let's investigate some of those spiritual cards that came up, and we might be able to try to communicate with the spirit at that point and see if any connection would be open in that regard. But that's where we would go from here. And then if I was at a show, it would be the next person sitting down and repeating it again.
All right.
But yeah.
Very cool. Thank you.
Any are the viewers able to ask questions?
Yeah, there's comments just saying hello, that kind of thing. Merely just went huge smiley face, so cool. But yeah, if you have any questions or anything you want to ask, we're just gonna, since the reading's over, just probably hang out for like a minute or two. But no, that was very profound. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for having me on the show. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
See if this is something. Sometimes people text me. Nope, something else.
Okay.
All right, thank you, everybody, for tuning into Let's Talk Lake County. I'm your host, David Rich. That was Rob Hogan, Oracle and Tarot Extraordinaire. It was a very cool reading, very deep and insightful. Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
No, you're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Oh, and also, what?
Okay.
Oh, I was going to say, if you want to follow my readings, I am on Facebook at Readings with Rob.
Readings with Rob?
Yep, Readings with Rob. It's my Facebook group. And then also you can contact me through Gmail at rob.hogan3@gmail.com.
I don't have a keyboard. I can't type it in. But okay, so you all heard that. Check him out online. This was very cool. He knows what he's doing for sure. Like I said, I've been into this stuff for decades, and I've had worse readings, and this is a really good one for sure. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. Take care. I'll talk to you next time. Bye.